More and more marketers are understanding that distribution, especially if you're in the reselling side of things, or if you're a manufacturer and you're going to sell out to the consumers, that the distribution is a key element in marketing. We all know that. I think more and more marketers now are trying to understand how they can use marketing skills in the B2B type of an environment when they're trying to get that out there. And not just necessarily from the selling side, but actually from the marketing and the branding side. So how does that work?
It's crucial. When you look at our industry, it's obviously, I would say, more than 50% of what you do is around distribution. But even in new industries, technology, internet has made distribution for a good product or concept ubiquitous. So it's easy. And we have a framework that we talk about. For a brand to be successful, you have to have physical availability and mental availability. Those are like two critical factors for a brand to be successful. And I'll start with the second one. Mental availability is what we always have thought about marketing and branding, and making sure you have, your media weights in the right place so that people can see you and get exposure to it. But the reality is that if there is no physical availability, there's, you don't have a brand. And we know from experience, what made people drink Pepsi, being able to get a Pepsi. It's as simple as that. So, and the other component there is, especially in fast mover consumer goods industries, we know that 40 to 50% of the decision, the moment of truth happens at the store, happens in front of the checkout so not being there, not having that distribution becomes a massive problem for any other brand. So when you're doing your marketing plan, you have to think of every single step of the distribution chain. And it's not only who you sell to, making sure that whoever you're selling to is selling to the right people, making sure that you have the right merchandising in place. So when you're at point of sale, you can find your brands. And it's easy for consumers to make a choice, because that's another big issue these days. You go to any supermarket, even to a small retail stores, you have so many products, so much availability, that the choice is becoming, incrementally more complicated for consumers to do. There's really having a tough time deciding what to buy. So making sure that it's an easy decision, it's something that it's critical and fundamental. So we use a lot of principles on nudging. How do you make sure, and especially for us, in which we're extremely focused nowadays in moving the portfolio to more nutrition and hydration offerings. So how do you nudge people towards those types of offerings, right? We think Pepsi is a great product for certain occasions. We don't think you should be drinking Pepsi all day, every moment of the day. We'd rather you drink Aquafina to hydrate, or if you're doing in a sports occasion that you're drinking Gatorade, or Tropicana or Naked for nutrition value. So how do you do that in the distribution context is also very important, because you need to make sure that people are nudging towards the direction that you think it's better for them in the long term, in the health and wellness space particularly.
And I would imagine that getting to the sell of Pepsi to the distributor is an easy sell.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has to carry it. But I always wonder, though, with these other brands, usually the retailer is just thinking about margin and turnover. That's Correct. What they care about. But what else is it that you do to get them to understand that these other brands that you sell are valuable to their portfolio?
Well, I mean, you just mentioned margin and turnover. So some of these brands, the turnover is slower, but the margins could be higher, especially for them. So it's something that it works out from that perspective. But also we need to look at new distribution channels, because some of the products that we're doing and we're creating require a completely different framework in how you distribute them. We have a new offering now. We just started. It's a product called Drinkfinity, and I'm not sure you have seen it, but it's a revolution how beverages are made. It's a concept of a pod and capsules. So capsules and a vessel in which you have natural ingredients and you basically mix them with water. And it's a revolutionary product in the sense that we are reducing the use of PET and plastics dramatically to a third. The entire footprint of distribution is much smaller, because you're not shipping water around, you're not shipping plastic, that gets reduced. But it also requires us to make a very different approach on commerce. And it's all about e-commerce. You can only buy this product through e-commerce. And so we have to be able to move away from the traditional distributing model for some of the products to something that it's different. And that's why we're investing a lot in e-commerce. Recently our chairman and CEO announced, a big investment in what we're doing in the e-commerce front. And that's going to be important for those products that tend to be more in the long tail and not necessarily the blockbusters.